next southern park in our UFO triangle theory, which would be down in West Texas, not far from El Paso, which is the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. So that's where our next story and research will be around, and hoping to get back into that and writing soon. It's always exciting coming up with ideas and working with my co-writer here, who always helps keep me on track, right, Julie?
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope you're getting your ideas every day, as I'm trying to. So,
well, you guys should actually listen to my show occasionally, because I tell you, some of the guests I have and had on would give you so many ideas, and actually, I've had some guests on lately. When they told their story, it actually scared me, and I'm starting to hear, hopefully you know who Calvin Parker is. He is one of the top abduction cases that ever happened, and I'm getting the feeling from talking to these people that, they're not getting this warm, fuzzy alien contact. They're getting the type of contact where, they feel threatened. They feel that whatever is happening is not in the benefit of mankind.
Oh, wow. Well, some have reported there are many different species visiting here. So can they all be friendly? Maybe not. Maybe some aren't just here to check us out. They're here to abuse us.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just like us, okay? If something or another race is so far advanced to be able to come here through a portal, a wormhole, a black hole, or how they get here, the technology, that means they're so far advanced than us. They are not going to even look at us as much of anything, because let's face it, our intelligence level compared to theirs is like basically from a human to a sheep. And I hate to say that. And that's where, talking to some of these guests I have had on, they treat a human when they abduct them just as we would treat cattle, or we take a fish, or we take a moose, or whatever. We're nothing more than, an experiment.
Unfortunately. And if we visit, we're going to go back up to the moon, and one day we'll go to Mars, and if we find any life, even ants of some type, we're probably not going to treat them any better, are we?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we, I tell you what, I'm not one of the people who would ever, even at my age, volunteer to go to Mars, for example. The moon you can come back from. Mars is going to be a one-way trip, and it's basically a suicidal trip, I don't know. Our technology, honestly, isn't there to support really going to Mars yet, and to be able to survive.
Yeah. Well, think about what we just covered here in the last couple minutes. We end up one day going to Mars, and we can't come back. And what if, like the movie, right, The Martian, and where he's stuck, and there's possibility he's going to run out of food and water. And what if we get there and there is some type of lower level life form there? Instead of studying it, we might end up having to eat it just to stay alive, So,
or they might eat us too.
That's true. And this kind of goes with my theory for Roswell, and I've written about it. How did an advanced alien craft go down? Like you said, they're here, they're advanced, their equipment's much more advanced than ours. How did it go down? Could it have been, and here's an idea, could it have been that they came here in one type of craft to cover distance through space, and once they got here, they had a different type craft just to fly around in our atmosphere, and it wasn't as good, or it wore out, and possibly just, it failed, it crashed.
Or it got hit by a radar beam and that caused it to crash. That's some theories.
Well, there you go. Why not? Why not? But it wasn't good enough, you know. It wasn't good enough to avoid whatever we had to offer, and it went down. So, you know, what's the slim possibility that some of the aliens who are here are stuck here? They can't get off, and they're hiding. You know, so just a thought, just another thought.
Yeah, just think if any of the bodies, you know, survived that crash from Roswell, you know, or if, like, in case they were supposed to be one or two of them that were living, or at least one, you know, just think what our scientists did to them and experimented on them just to find out what they were. And that tells you when they come down here to visit us, maybe that's why we're having people, you know, being abducted, some people not coming back. I've seen cases and pictures of people that were abducted, like in Brazil, in the Amazon, and a few other places. I have pictures that have been sent to me by somebody that shows, you know, like cattle mutilation. These were humans that were mutilated the same way. You know, done like laser or more accurate than laser cuts and having certain parts of their body removed. That, when I saw that really scared me.
That would be terrifying. That's like an alien movie, man. That's scary stuff.
Well,
I'm a big watcher of the X-Files and other interesting shows like that, like Project Blue Book, and you know they've already demonstrated in those shows just how terrifying we can be to the visiting aliens, of, you know, killing them and experimenting on them. So yeah. Well, it's probably both ways.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be abducted. Okay, that's one thing. But since you've been on my show, I was talking to somebody, and I saw a UFO, not a UFO. I saw something weird in the New Mexico desert, where me and my wife at the time were coming home from North Carolina back to Seattle, and we're going through the desert. And all of a sudden, the whole car lit up inside, and all around the car lit up brighter than daylight. And in my mind, I thought it was a helicopter, because I was speeding, because I remember back then the speed limit was ridiculously high, or didn't have one, or whatever. And so I pull over thinking, okay, I'm going to be busted by a helicopter. And I get out of the car. There was no sound, nothing, quiet. I didn't hear a helicopter, and believe me, I was in the military. I know what helicopters sound like. And then within a matter of a few seconds, poof, it was gone. And, I really didn't think, I didn't really think much of it till a lot later. And in early 90s, I went into a surgeon to have some stuff done. They sent me in to get a CAT scan and all this stuff. And I go back to the surgeon, to, have him check it over and figure out when I'm going to have the surgery. And I walk in the office, and the head nurse comes out and greets me. And she goes, "Where did you get that piece of metal up in your upper part of your back and your spine?" And I go,
"No way."
And oh yeah. And, I didn't even at that time, it didn't associate in my head, seriously. And I remember saying to her, when I was in the military, I got hurt way down on my back, but there was no scars, no puncture marks, no nothing. And I go in and talk to the doctor, and he again says, "Hey, you got this piece of metal in your spine." The only thing I said to him, because it shocked me, I said, "Can we have it removed?" And he goes, "No, because, scar tissue is formed around it. If we go in and do surgery, you're going to be in a wheelchair." I didn't think nothing, honestly, guys, much about that for years later. Then one of my sons gets in trouble where I have to take him to court for a year, once a month, up in Pierce County, Washington. I walk in, they have their metal detectors. I set it off. Now, okay, so the next thing I know, I'm pulling everything out of my pockets and taking my belt off. It's still setting it off. I actually even had to go into that special room where you had to get naked and be examined.
Oh, no.
And Again, in my mind, I could, I just kind of brushed it off. Two, I started talking to like a Muthan, person on my show.
Investigator?
Yeah, investigator. And then I started realizing maybe back, okay, in the early 70s when I saw that bright light and I got out of that car, to me, it only seemed like seconds. But, I sometimes wonder if I got abducted myself when I had an implant put in. I had Timothy Cullen on my show. I've had a couple other people who've had implants. And I tell you that I think it's more widespread than people even realize.
Oh, my. You need to call Barbara in San Diego. I'll have to give you her phone number.
Email me, please, on that, because that is something that has bothered me because, it's rather embarrassing. I can't go to the airport. I can't go for anything that has a metal detector because it sets it off, and it has been a real, not a fun thing in my life to have. But I'm kind of curious what happened that night. When talking to Peter Davenport, about my experience, that's one of the experiences he even had when he was young.
Oh, no.
The bright light. And then he also explained to me a lot of reports he gets. And he said he had a lot of them. Just what I described, other people have described.
Oh, wow. Well, that's terrifying. And I think maybe you ought to talk to someone and check it out, because out in the middle of the desert and you got out of the car even?
Yeah, I got out of the car.
No, that sounds like the real thing.
Well, but again, I get back into the car. My wife was totally freaked out and screaming and crying. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, I never really wore a watch in my life. But to me, like I said, it just seemed like seconds. But how do I know how many seconds it was, or how many minutes or an hour or whatever? I just know that something happened that night. Now, hey, guys, why don't you tell people also, because our time is almost up, how they can find your books, the Southwest UFO Triangle Theory and allien-park Dunes. Where can they find it?
Well, Amazon.com for both of them. And if you'd care to look at our website where we have a lot of information, that is ufotriangle.com. ufotriangle.com. And I guarantee you next month, I'm not sure when next month, but we're going to have a new page. And because we're doing some ufology research right now in New Mexico, and we hope to have a lot of details for people to look at. So that'll be interesting.
Well, it sounds like it. And it sounds like you need to keep me informed here, too, when you get this other book going.
Absolutely. Well, we want you in on it.
Well, we got like 2 minutes left. Is there anything you want to say to the listenership? We're on 27 stations. Whatever you want to say, go ahead and say it.
Well, thank you so much for listening, your interest. Go ahead, Julie.
No, I was just saying buy the book. But, yeah, Gary, thanks so much for having us on board here and allowing us to share some of our weird life and our experiences. So happy we got a time, this time to share with you.
Well, I'm just glad to have you guys back on.
Well, thank you for having us. It's always fun to talk with you, and we're still working with Charles Brooks in Texas at Prime Film Ventures Incorporated to write a movie screenplay for allien-park Dunes. So we hope to get that going in the next year, hopefully.
Okay, guys. Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming on Night Dreams. Again, I'm sorry if I blew it on the wrong day, or if you guys blew it. Hey, at least we still did. We still did it, and I didn't have to do an hour talking to myself.
Well, happy it didn't happen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It worked out fine.
Okay, guys. Well, you take care
very much.
and stay out of trouble, will you?
Thank you, Gary. You too.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, you guys take care. Night. Oh, yeah. What happened was, I don't know if I blew it or Linda blew it or they blew it, but they were scheduled, I guess, for Friday. And, well, guess what? I called them up to come on the show tonight, and then they weren't ready. And it's not their fault. But anyway, tomorrow we're going to be talking with a great guest again. Next week, we're going to be talking to another abduction case, more about UFOs. If you want to be a guest on Night Dreams Talk Radio, you can get a hold of me at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.